Thank you for plugging into this Family Life News podcast, streaming issues-driven, family-focused news.
And welcome back to another edition of Issues in Education. Mondays during the Noon Report, we spotlight the issues that matter most to our public schooling families with the one and only Dr. Ralph Kerr at the Teaching and Learning Institute in Houghton, New York. Ralph, welcome back to the big show. Got a lot to get to today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Bob. Great to be with you again today.
Let's talk teachers. There was a study out last week that I just could not believe. The American Psychological Association says a third of all teachers in this country have at one point over the past year been physically or verbally threatened. Did that surprise you as well?
It did, and I think you need some definition here of verbally or physically assaulted. I mean, I find that number, frankly, very hard to believe.
You've mentioned a lot on this program how more teachers are retiring, fewer students are pursuing teaching as a career. How much did COVID exacerbate this problem, or was this a problem long before COVID?
Well, it certainly was a problem going into COVID, but I think all the requirements during the pandemic added to this. The teachers' retirement system in New York is projecting 180,000 teachers will be needed in the next decade. The New York State United Teachers Union, they have developed a mitigation effort that they're calling Take a Look at Teaching, which is a program to try to attract high school students to the education field. Yeah. We need more of that, and we also need colleges that are into education programs like your alma mater, Houghton College, to really take a good look at that to help fill that crisis that's going to occur if we don't do something to encourage more young people to become teachers.
Yeah. And speaking of colleges, Pennsylvania has just signed off on the new look university system, Commonwealth University in the northern tier, and then Western University near Ohio. 6 state schools combining into 2. How is this going to impact students who are enrolled in those schools?
From what I know about it, I think there will be very, very little student impact. The sports teams and other clubs are going to remain unique to each individual part of the system. The mascots for each going to be the same. The administration is where the difference is going to be, and that is that instead of having 6 presidents, there probably will only be 2.
Well, I know they've been dealing with the enrollment thing, as a lot of colleges have, dwindling enrollment. And while we're at the college level, got to mention this controversy at SUNY Brockport, a wonderful school. They're facing some heat now for inviting this Black Panther, a man who was convicted of killing 2 police officers. He's going to be speaking on campus next month. Should SUNY Brockport rescind that invite?
Well, that's a really controversial issue. I talked to some friends about it, and one person said, well, I would forgive the person for killing the policeman, but I don't think that they get redemption because they've not really indicated any kind of sorrow for what they did. In fact, the person is calling themselves a political prisoner. I'm a great believer in freedom of speech, but I do believe that my alma mater could have done better in selecting somebody to speak to the student body.
All right. You and I, on this program, we love to talk high school hoops. It is March Madness, after all. Over the weekend, so many local schools got to compete in the state Final Four in Troy, New York for the girls, and then in Glens Falls for the guys. One of those schools that was competing, Avoca Prattsburg boys basketball team, kind of an unusual case here. These are 2 schools that have merged their sports programs, but have no plans to merge the schools. How unusual is that?
Well, it's not really unusual. It is very often the first step towards merger. There are other districts in the region, in fact, that have done this. But I think, the reasons sometimes are really good. One school doesn't have enough to field a team. But I think there's lots of downsides to that as well in terms of who gets to play, how much playing time is involved for his students from each school, and are you really just trying to build another kingdom here by taking the best players from a couple districts and putting them together? I think it has lots of downsides as well.
Yeah, and some of those kids, not to take anything away from that, what those kids have done, some of those kids on that team have never lost a high school basketball game. That's absolutely phenomenal. Well, hey, Ralph, so many topics. Spent a lot of places this week. But if you want to learn more about what the Teaching and Learning Institute is, why do you exist, you have a wonderful website where folks can go. Check out some videos about how to run for your school board. Where can folks find you, Ralph?
Hey, they can simply find us at yrun.org, yrun.org.